Now, when you say head movement, what I'm looking for is where in the shot process the head movement comes from, right?
Yeah.
So that was definitely coming into anchor, pausing, a little wobble through the clicker. So we want to try and keep the fluid movement moving. And that affects your drawing and how far you have left to expand to make it click. You don't aim first and synchronize your timing with your aiming. You get your timing first and then you synchronize your aiming with the timing.
Sounds amazing.
What's up, team? Hope you guys are crushing it. I'm here today with my good mate, Ilias Katsapouikidis, affectionately known as Ilias the Greek.
Oppa!
All right, today we're going to be doing another coaching case study. Now, Ilias has been one of my students for just over a year now.
Plus or minus. Maybe minus because I've been like appendicitis and wisdom teeth out, so probably less than a year.
Yeah, if we take out the interruptions, probably less than a year, which is another way of saying he's been absolutely steamrolling ahead and just crushing it, making awesome progress. One of the things about Ilias in relation to the previous coaching case studies is that those coaching case studies have mostly been done with kind of rookies, focusing on the basics of technique structure, how the shot process links together and that sort of thing. Now with Ilias, obviously he's a little bit more advanced and a bit further along down that pathway. And so the things we're going to break down and we're going to get into in this coaching case study are going to be a little bit more nuanced. We're going to increase the resolution of the focus on those elements. They're always important. And then we're also going to work on a little bit more shot execution style stuff. Ready to go?
I love it.
Let's crush it.
Let's do this.
Woo! Okay, let's do this. So, this morning we filmed a 72-hour scoring round.
This week's been a focus on getting my life sorted.
Yes, and that's important.
And that's important so that I can feel good about going into this week towards the Nationals. So I feel like that's given me a ton of energy, and now it's like, let's practice and let's rejuvenate. Let's do the things that give us energy.
And this is also a benchmarking exercise, seeing where you're at and what to improve on. So sometimes after having a little bit of time off or whatever, the things that were always errors, they just sort of bubble up to the surface. So
yeah.
There's nothing to be concerned about, you know. So anyway, okay, so let's just watch this through. Now you're at a level where we're not so much just teaching you basic shot processing anymore, right? You've got all the steps, they're all in the right order. This is more about identifying, right, where is the inconsistency and weakness throughout your shot process, and where does it sort of come up and show up shot to shot.
Nice.
So let me know if, when, and what you see.
Oh, well, what I can see is that there's head movement, and so I was focusing on that today. Is like, can I keep my head still and not move it into the string? I'm noticing that I'm moving the front arm for the bow raise a lot higher than I normally would.
Okay.
And creating like a disconnected shot feel.
Interesting.
I noticed that I was pulling the string towards my face, probably with less elbow focus and rotation than I normally would.
When you say elbow focus, you mean the rotation around the body?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, you know,
so a little bit more too much hand.
There's more hand to the face feeling.
Yep.
And then that would for me, what that creates is a disconnection with my structure back here.
Yes.
So that was evident for probably the whole shoot, actually.
So that affects your scapular engagement. Well, so you said something interesting here. Let's just go back and have a look at this.
Yeah.
So you said, let's play this through. So you said head movement. Now, this is just a random shot we're picking. So let's look at how that follows through. Now, when you say head movement, what I'm looking for is where in the shot process the head movement comes from, right?
Yeah.
Because you could just say, just don't move your head, right? But, well, where's the problem coming from? If you've got a clunky sound in your engine, you've got to kind of figure out where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And see how it fits in the shot process. So if we look through here, set your stance, set your posture, go into setup position. Your eye focus at the moment is on your hands, which is fine. However, the last step of the setup position when you set your hands on the bow from here is to now direct your eye focus towards the target and set your head position.
Okay.
And then you have a stable, consistent head position from which to then proceed through the shot process.
Okay.
But let's watch what you do here. Have a look. You're actually following the bow up with your eyes.
Yeah.
And that's where that's the biggest head movement there, right?
Yeah.
As you're raising the bow. So you're raising your head and everything from there.
Yeah.
Ideally, what you should have is here, your head position should be set, and then it shouldn't move.
Okay.
So it's in the setup position where we need to set the correct head position.
Cool.
It's not like your head's in the wrong position at full draw. I wouldn't say. I mean, you make quite a big postural adjustment there. But if we look at like this position, your head position isn't wrong here.
Yeah, okay.
Right? It's just that you kind of move a lot to get there.
Yeah.
And you might find that movement creates inconsistency.
I think that's what I'm talking to, yeah.
And then that inconsistency might translate into other things like clicker positioning and timing and stuff like that.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. So that's an easy win.
And what I noticed was when I get through those struggling shots, that's where this over rotation would happen. I'd clip my side of my arm.
So as you struggle to make the expansion happen, you're exaggerating that part of the technique to make it happen.
Feels like,
And it's interesting because the previous thing you said was the scapular the scapular engagement. You're losing connection from here by pulling in with the hand. So those things are related.
Okay.
Right? Because if you have that prime and engage correctly in the correct scapular positioning as you come into the anchor position, then it's really easy to make the expansion happen. If you've kind of engaged the wrong muscles here, I'm exaggerating, but if you've engaged the wrong muscles here, then as you tighten and tense to make it click and it's not moving, then you have to do this, and that's where you'll be connecting with your arm.
That's making sense.
So this is a good example of how one thing can fix another thing. And so it's not as difficult as I think. It's also worth just acknowledging, you've got a bunch of good stuff going on. So, posture's looking solid, alignments like textbook. Okay, so let's have a look at this release here. There's a bit of a reaction away from the face. So I think I want to work on this.
Yeah.
And I think this is related to tension from the hand. As you said, you were sort of emphasizing a little bit the hand coming to the face rather than the correct loading phase, which is as you set the scapular retractors on the drawing side, bring the elbow around, the hand should naturally come in. And because this is all relaxed, there's no reaction here. You know what I mean? The more tension there is in the hand, the bigger the reaction is.
Okay.
It's not unforgivably bad here, but we can definitely improve that.
Cool. Something I noticed too is possibly my clicker was a little in more than it.
More than usual.
Yeah, because I was really, there's some moments there where I'm like, fuck, this feels a bit weird.
So just hold that thought.
Got it.
But here, what I wanted to draw your attention to is actually you're kind of distorting your posture a little this way. What this is doing, this line of force through here is probably shrugging the shoulder a little bit. And so then you're sort of straightening up your posture. Whereas I think, how we should just add a more distinct step at the end of the setup. Your posture should be straight and your head position should already be set. So, because the other thing you're doing, I think, on quite a few shots is you're coming into the pre-draw position and you're making quite a big postural adjustment.
Yeah, man.
Like from here. Yeah.
See it. Yeah.
See there?
Yeah, moving in, down.
Yeah. And look, you're strong and you've got good flexibility and motor control. But what's happening is as you go progress through the shot process, there should be less and less happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All the emphasis is in the setup position for a reason, because then once you're at full draw, there's like nothing left for you to do.
Yeah.
Just continue to execute.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that's held you back in your competition scores, I know, is your timing is really long. And it's because you're making all these adjustments through the shot process. Now that's fine when you're learning, but you've now advanced to a level where, you know, we need to move past that now and kind of drill in the process to be a little bit more fluid.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yep.
Sounds efficient.
Efficiency. Yes, I like it. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
I mean, pre-drop position is excellent. Elbow height's good. Front shoulder's looking rock solid. Yeah, so just that setup position I'm going to emphasize.
I know, okay, so something I can speak to was early in the shoot, I was quite loose with my fingers.
Right.
Shots going everywhere. And then when I thought about that, you know, that day I scored like a gangster score, I had a solid feel and I kept it solid. And it was definitely more engaged than...
Yeah, so more curled around from the
more curled around, gave me more confidence that I've got the string in the same position.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's the feeling.
And so was that at the setup position when you're setting the hook on the string that you
And
set
maintained
that?
it.
There you go. So that's another thing in setup position. Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so this will be an interesting one, looking into clicker position.
Okay, great. This is a mystery. I like seeing this. Oh, wow. Okay, Jesus.
A little long.
Oh, crikey, Mikey.
What do you notice?
Wow, we're sort of pausing, man. We get there with fluidity on the point and then getting it through. Okay, this could have been a symptom of just a little too far in. It felt like that for me. It felt like it was in a little bit and I was struggling. Oh, okay.
Busted on that one, mate.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I've overcompensated. Okay. It's funny to watch the psychology.
It is, right? Yeah. This is also, there's nowhere left to hide on the camera, right? You know, it's really looking up your own skirt and getting to know yourself.
Yeah, true.
So.
Wow, man. Like literally just stop dead.
So this relates back to what I was saying before about fluidity in the shot, right? Yeah, as we go through the shot process, you're, obviously the pre-draw is the final check stage, we triple check. We check our posture, front shoulder set position, shoulder alignment, boom. And then from loading, anchor, expansion, release, follow through, it's kind of a continuation of one movement. Whereas what you're doing is you're coming in, stopping, and then
trying
to expand. And that's why we're seeing it stop, and then wobble a little bit, and then go. Definitely seem worse than that.
Yeah.
But I think we can definitely improve. There's a lot of points to be made just in improving that one thing.
Awesome.
And it's not even really a technique change, it's a technique improvement on what you're already doing.
Cool.
So yeah. Okay, so this I think will be the best angle to highlight what I think is the biggest thing for you to work on technically, at least. Other things, you know, we've picked up on some process things with the head movement and the setup position and that. But as far as technique, probably the biggest inconsistency I think is the front shoulder reaction on release.
Okay, tell me what you see.
Yeah, let's break this down. Okay, pre-draw position.
Yeah.
Solid. Everything's looking good in terms of the front shoulder, and your arm is internally rotated, your front shoulder's set down.
Yeah.
Looking good. What I'm seeing is in anticipation of the release, I'm seeing tension in this muscle here, the anterior deltoid.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a reaction which is uncoiling of the bow arm before the string is actually left. Like in anticipation almost.
Okay.
Then what happens is the bow collapses in.
Huh.
So the follow through on the front shoulder, like just, it's pretty subtle what I'm seeing there, but the follow through is a reaction of the forces in the body at the moment of release.
Yeah.
Right? So if the arm breaks in and all the tension is transferred into the trapezius here, that indicates sort of a lack of directional stability at the moment of release. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what are we doing? So is that what you're seeing happening here? What you just showed?
Yeah, you're sort of breaking in.
Okay. Got
Now
it.
it varies from shot to shot,
Sure.
but see, this is a follow through position. The arm kind of drops in on the reaction.
Okay. Got it.
So, whereas it should break out, and you should be able to maintain your shoulder alignment through the follow through. That's important. And it's actually really the arm should break away and break open to the target rather than collapsing in. So, funnily enough, the best drill that we can do to improve this is tech drills.
Okay.
So we'll work on that.
The long rolls are killing it.
Yeah.
I get it. And then that creates more and more of that.
And breaks in, yeah. So we need to create, and so we need to work on the fluidity through the shot, the timing, the tempo.
Okay, so one other thing I can speak to today, for instance, be it that I'm trying to find my mojo. So there's one tendency where I come up pre-draw and then kind of lead with the elbow and it ends up in my face and it feels really strong and awesome. Then I noticed at some point that I actually would move my front arm as I'm doing it like this. So, and that would create like more, which felt nice, but it's more movement. So I wanted to ask you in terms of pre-draw here, whether to keep everything solid face and this and move everything else around, or whether this is actually okay to create the line of force.
So the short answer is no, you shouldn't have that movement. The pre-draw is the final check position. So I think of it a bit like, imagine the shot is like skydiving. I'll just pause that. And you know, when you're skydiving, have you been skydiving?
Yeah, man.
It's sick, right?
I've done solo dive.
Okay. So when you're skydiving, you know, there's a process. It's pretty important. You've got to pack the parachute. You know, you've got to put it on. You've got to make sure your harnesses are all done up correct. And then you've got to get into the door. You do your final check each other, you know, blah, 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 ready to go. And then someone says go or whatever, and you strap in and you jump out of the plane, right? Imagine, so pre-draw is like the moment right before you're about to jump out of the plane. Everything, the parachute's packed, the harnesses are checked and double checked and triple checked, and it's all ready to go, and then you jump, and that's the last moment before you commit, right? And so imagine you're about to jump out of the plane, and then you still got like a harness to do up, and you're kind of doing that as you jump out of the, like, things are gonna go wrong, okay? And it's like, imagine you're coming from pre-draw position into anchor, and you're still making adjustments in your front shoulder position, your posture. It's not gonna work. You know, you're already out the door. So you've got to make sure the pre-draw position, boom, it's locked in place.
Okay.
Triple check. Posture, set. Shoulder alignment, set. Fully set. Not 95% set, 100% set. Front shoulder set, down and internally rotated. So that needs to be 100% done. Really easy. I know the temptation is it's really easy to, like, with the shoulder alignment, really common, to align like 95% of the way there, and then do the final 5% as you come in with your loading. The problem is that it's going to be a little bit inconsistent when you come into the full draw position, and that affects your draw length and how far you have left to expand to make it click.
Okay.
So therefore you have no sensation of where your timing is. Your timing gets inconsistent and your expansion falls apart, and then you get off shots.
Okay.
So
yeah, good to hear it.
Yeah.
Awesome, I'll practice it. I know that I've shot really well with that because of feeling. A lot of my life is feeling. Now, for whatever reason, that alignment by bringing it in like that creates a feeling that's like a straighter line of force. That's how I would explain it. Whereas, does that make sense? Like if I came in here and just rotated back, that line of force is not as felt through my shoulders as doing it that way.
Let's look at the range, because when you talk about line of force, which line of force?
Through the back of my shoulder.
Through the shoulders,
yeah.
like through your shoulder alignment.
Yeah, so I could feel it through here running back, doing it that way, more than just this way. This way is an emphasis more on just this arm. So that's what I notice, whether it makes me shoot.
There's some subtlety here, and you know, so there's some subtlety here that's important, because whilst there's no more movement in the front side shoulder after the pre-draw position, that's fully set, you still need to maintain the intention and the force of continuing your shoulder alignment. Otherwise, as the force builds as you draw the bow, and if you don't maintain the same pressure in the opposite direction, then you'll start to collapse.
Yeah.
So let's look at what you're actually doing before we jump in and make too many changes.
Awesome.
But the intent and the principle of the pre-draw position is that posture, shoulder alignment, front shoulder position, set, locked away, 0% left to do. It's 100% locked away. And then it's transferring the fluidity through loading, scapular engaged, drawing the elbow around, coming up into anchor position, continuing to flow through expansion, 1, 2, pop, and then the release. And the follow through is a reaction after that moment of the forces in the body.
I like that, lock and load.
Locked and loaded.
You said come locked and loaded? Okay, then we're here.
If you take a look at my side profile, I'm a big schnoz. I don't know if they can see it on
camera.
YouTube.
Well, there it is on the camera right there.
But for me, I can tell you today that I was having issues with a consistent picture because my nose gets in the way on my side. And it could just be the haziness of the edge of my nose,
right,
and it throws out my whole sight picture. And so there were times, I can tell you now, where it literally became like everything's good, now I can't see the sight pin or the fucking target center. And I know that it's a slight movement that much. And then if expansion's off, then my nose goes that way, blanks out the whole target. So that was happening today.
Right, okay.
Just saying.
So that's related to head movement, right?
No, it is.
Okay, so let's park that under head movement. Because we obviously, if your head is more away from the target, then that's going to become more of an issue. So we need to find the right head position and then
stick to it. Yeah, so I like this locked and loaded thing. I think that will alleviate all the things I'm speaking to, really.
Yeah.
Anyone else suffer from that?
There will be. You look at like some of the top archers, like Kang Chae-yong, and she's got like this cute little tiny nose, and and then but everyone's got a different face shape, right?
True that.
And with the anchor and the string reference point, it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
So there's principles we follow, but then you need to adjust that to the individual to figure out what works.
Cool.
Okay, so we've got a few things here. Let's just put a category: set up position.
Yeah.
Posture and head position, we need to set before proceeding with the shot.
Okay.
That's kind of a step you're kind of glossing over at the moment.
All right.
Like you're packing your parachute in the plane on the way up to skydive, right? We need to get that before you get in the plane, okay?
Damn it, I've been busted. That's how I do life. I wing everything. It looks good on the outside. But Jesus.
There's no hiding on camera, mate.
All right.
So if we get the posture and the setup position correct, that kind of solves head position and solves the postural adjustment in pre-draw position. There's kind of less for you to do as you proceed through the shot.
Yeah, I like
it's going to make it more consistent. Okay, so then the loading phase, we need to work on better, more consistent scapular positioning and engagement through the through the loading process, and that's going to improve the dynamic release and follow through, so that there's less tension in the hand and less of a flyaway release.
Okay.
Then we're going to also work on the front shoulder alignment and front shoulder position is good, but you need to maintain the intention of that through the release, not to break in like this. So you need to continue to do that. We're going to do that through tech draws.
Okay, so something that I probably nasty habit I picked up in between the last comp and this one is that pause thing is almost like this is a pause. This instead of like during the shoot, I know that I was doing this and it was a smooth, and now I can see it's like a stop. It's like
yep,
and I can see it on the clicker sort of thing. This elbow focus to pull it up was
a separate step rather than a fluid
step.
Yeah, and so I'm going to put under that. We're going to do some timing drills and some clicker, the clicker expansion drills we do, clicker control drills. We're going to do them as well, because that teaches you to expand through the clicker, not just to it, and also synchronize your timing with the click. So
I like the sound of that.
I think you're going to pick this up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like there are a couple of key changes we're going to make early in the shot process that's going to help you later on.
Awesome.
And then it's about the fluidity of that and like building it in and letting it flow. When we did our video analysis, we identified a few things to work on. I think they were mostly in the setup position, making sure that your posture and your head position is already set, and so that will flow on into making sure there's less movement and less inconsistency later on in the shot process, meaning more consistency and more fluidity through the shot, right? So then the other thing is we're going to then transition that into more consistent focus on the loading of the scapular retractors, coming into anchor through the loading phase, and then fluidity through the anchor release and follow through so that the timing of the shot is much more consistent. The first thing to address is with the setup position. What you were doing, if I can kind of exaggerate just for the purposes of demonstration, is that the setup position is where we achieve really three things. First of all, we set the hook on the string. Then we set the pressure point into the grip. Okay. Then we look at the target. That's our head position set. You're doing all those steps, but kind of like you're just glossing through it, like breezing through it without like really properly setting everything in place. So I'm pretty happy with your hand set position, but specifically what's happening is, in your case, you're kind of doing this, you're exaggerating your posture to kind of align your shoulders with the bow more than is necessary. And then you're like following up with the head, which means that you have this sort of big arcing head movement during your shot process. And then also means that as you come into your pre-draw position, you kind of have to do a postural adjustment because you're moving from like this to this, and then you have to check it. Make sense? To fix this, what we're going to do is the correct setup position is obviously stance, posture, boom, set. The posture, you shouldn't then distort your posture to set the hands on the bow. We're going to keep your shoulders square through here, like this. Then as the last point in the setup position, set your head position. And then from here, basically the head shouldn't move through the rest of the draw sequence. Any questions?
Looks like fun.
Looks easy, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's see how we go. Go into your setup position. Stance, posture, set, chest in. Cool. Yeah. Lock and load. Let's, okay, good. Into the setup position. Cool. Pressure point. Cool. Okay, now here, look at the target. Yeah. That's all it is. Okay.
Take a picture of that, huh?
We can freeze frame that.
Boom.
Now, maintain your posture and head position as you go through raise, pre-draw. Oh, beautiful. I told you guys he was a quick learner. Okay, into anchor. Loading. Anchor. Back to pre-draw. Yeah. Excellent. Might be a short coaching case study today if you make progress like that. Okay, so just slow it down, and we're going to do that a couple more times. Okay. Posture.
So is that hitching up and we want it down, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct? Yes. Just do 3 take draws and then work down. Excellent. How's that feel?
Amazing.
Awesome. No, start again. Do you see what you did then?
No.
You kind of set, and then you like, make sure you look at the target as a distinct step. Set your head position, and then go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm being tough on you, but because this is a new skill, we need
I love it. Yeah. You do your thing, man. I'm good with it.
Yes. There we go. It looks easy now. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do 3 take draws with the bow.
Okay.
Same process. And then we're gonna shoot at some blank butts. So head position, posture straight. Good. Now come out. Yes. Now, one thing just to be conscious of is that when you set the setup position, it's looking good, and then before you raise, you're actually pulling a little bit and then raising.
Right.
I think a little bit too much.
Okay.
So you're actually doing the correct setup position,
Yeah.
and then you're pulling and then raising, which actually it should just be maintain enough tension into the string to help raise the bow,
Yeah.
and then into pre-draw position.
Okay, let's try that.
Yep, much better. Okay, now for instruction purposes, and for those of you wondering, The drill we're doing at the moment is a drill called tech draws. It's one of my secret weapons. Those of you who are in the Technique Fundamentals course already know about this, but tech draws are one of the most foundational drills as part of technique reinforcement and bow conditioning. And so that's what we're doing now with Ilias, where we come into the pre-draw position, pause. Now, the pre-draw is an important part of the shot process because it's what we call a triple check. It's the final checking position before committing to the shot and completing loading, anchor, release. If the pre-draw position is a little bit inconsistent, then it's the last chance to really lock it down and check that position before committing to the shot. If the posture is a little bit off, if the front shoulder is a little bit off, or if your shoulder alignment is a little bit out at pre-draw, it'll be out for the rest of the shot. So by focusing on the tech draws, we're actually reinforcing the pre-draw position both through the concentric range and the eccentric range as we lower the weight of the bow. And so this is an important part of neural reinforcement, and it helps to accelerate the skill acquisition. Look at the target, set your head position. Good. Maintain tension on the screen. Pre-draw. Pause. Good. Commit. 1, 2. Good. Pressure point, head position. Posture set. Raise. Pre-draw. Pause. Check. Commit. 1, 2. Pop. Beautiful. Live much, live much. Head, yep, hook, yep. Pressure point, head position, posture set, yep. Check, commit. Anchor, flowing, 1, 2, hop. Beautiful. So before you shoot this one, how's this change feeling? So far, the only change we've made is just in that setup position, actually introducing the head position.
Yeah, so for me, it's anchoring in a solid foundation from the beginning.
Feels comfortable.
So it's giving me confidence.
Okay, good.
Something to build on. Yeah.
Well, what I'm happy to say is that you can pretty much get it first go.
Oh.
Like it's not like a whole new complicated technique that you need to spend a week fiddling with. You've got it, so that's good.
Oh.
The other thing that now we're shooting just blank butt,
Yeah.
no aiming focus, no
Yeah.
nothing. What's interesting to me is that obviously we sat down before and we looked at your form, shooting 70 meters in scoring conditions, a little bit of wind and stuff around. And so obviously the things we identified were the timing, that you were coming into anchor, stopping, and then wrestling with the clicker a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not wrestling, but it was
Dead.
stopped, yeah. And that you were kind of breaking in almost in the front shoulder on the release. Didn't happen those last couple of times.
Okay.
So what that means to me is that taking away the aiming focus and the directional expansion focus, actually you've got all the right foundations for the right technique. So we're going to work on some drills where we can translate this skill towards that skill.
Oh, sounds good.
Now, where it's really common, where this can become complicated, is that, okay, so when you're expanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now here we got no aiming. You can just expand, 1, 2, pop, 1, 2, pop. 100% focuses on technique and timing. When you aim a target, when you introduce a target, an aiming focus, then as you expand, your sight pin might move offline a little bit. So if you try and hold the sight pin steady, as you expand and it moves off, your expansion stops and you bring it back. And so you get into this little tussle. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Perfect word to say. Little tussle with your expansion and your aiming. So you need to learn directional expansion in terms of expanding smoothly, fluidly, whilst maintaining the sight pin moving towards the 10 ring.
Wow.
So obviously that's why we've taken away the target focus, and now we're going to consolidate that form change here, blank butt just for a little bit because you're already nailing it here, and then we're going to introduce a soft aiming focus and then improve it as we go along.
Awesome.
Okay, let's go again.
All right.
Head position, posture, yep. Pre-draw, check, commit. 1, 2, pop. Perfect. All right. Okay, absolutely crushing that change. You happy with it?
Yeah, bro, feels good.
Yeah, looks good. Next thing we want to introduce is timing and expansion drills. So we're going to do clicker control drills. We're going to start here at blank butt, and then we're going to add a soft aiming focus and then continue from there. So the drill itself is, as we're discussing, when it comes to the expansion, there's a few elements to it. Expansion is probably the most critical element to get right for high scores, if you know what I mean. Pretty much everything else we set up, the technique structure, the alignment, the posture, the head position, the front arm rotate, it's all set up so that you can have a smooth directional expansion. So there's a few elements to the expansion. There is the timing, right? There is the expansion range, like how far you expand the bow to make it click. There is the smoothness of the expansion, so not, wobbling the clicker or moving forward with the arrow point. And there's also the direction of the expansion, as you're expanding, keeping the bow moving towards the 10 ring. So the drill that we're doing to work on this is clicker control drills, or CCDs is the abbreviation. What we're doing here is we're loading the arrow as normal, coming into full draw, and we're expanding not to the clicker, but through the clicker. We're going to do an expansion for 5 seconds. And the intention here is to expand through the clicker, where the clicker drops on the count of 3. So it should be loading, anchor, 1, 2, click, 4, 5, let down. The first time you might do it, it might go anchor, 1, click. And then the next time it might go anchor, 1, 2, 3, 4, click. By learning how to control the clicking with a bit of practice, you can gain a sensation of where the clicker is within your expansion range. You should have, 3-5 mil max, but 2 or 3 millimeters to open up the arrow to make the clicker drop. Imagine that there is a range that you can expand with your alignment and your position, and then beyond that, you kind of have to distort your body and your posture and your alignment to make it go further, right? Expansion range is where you come into anchor, boom, from the first point of anchor, that you can expand using the continuation of your alignment without distorting your posture or your technique until the end of that range, right? Now, if the clicker is positioned all the way at the end of the expansion range, then what it means is you have to come into anchor, you have to expand, and then you kind of have to distort your body for that last little bit at the end to make the clicker go off. So that's really common overdrawing. We don't want that. If the clicker is positioned too far forward in the expansion range, then basically it's going to come in and it's going to go off too quick before you're quite ready for it. So generally, if the expansion range is, your fingernail, you want the clicker in the middle of that range, right? So this drill should be anchor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where it moves through the expansion range and drops on 3. Make sense?
Yeah.
So we're going to do it at blank butt, then we're going to do it at target. See how we go.
Nice.
Okay, when you're ready. So remember, anchor, 1, 2, click, 4, 5, and then let down. Head position, posture set, yep, good. Pre-draw, check. Loading. 1, 2, click, 4, 5, and let down. That was better. Now, just on the let down, make sure that you let down not as just like complete collapse of the body. The body learns both directions. You know what I mean? Through the concentric and the eccentric range.
Okay.
If you come back here, expand, and then do this, your body's actually learning to collapse.
Oh, ouch.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Pre-draw. Check. Loading. Anchor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let down.
Is that the let downs like this?
Let down. Just like a pre-draw. Sorry, like a tech draw.
Yeah.
You let down in the exact reverse of the way you draw. Pre-draw. This way. The biggest mistake is we don't want you to train your body to collapse shoulder alignment through the shot.
Yeah.
So you want to come back to here, and then you can.
Okay.
That's pretty good. We'll do one more good one.
Yep.
And then we'll go to 30 meters and work on it there.
Alrighty.
Once you introduce aiming to this drill, it becomes like another level of complexity.
Cool.
Head position set, posture good, yep. Pre-draw, check. Loading. Anchor, 1, 2, click, 4, 5. Yes, beautiful. All right, let's go to 30.
Like it.
you can get the hang of the clicker draws pretty easily at blank butt, that's fine. But like I said, now that we're introducing the aiming focus, this becomes a little bit difficult. We're going to do like a superset. You know what that is?
No.
So when you're in the gym, a superset is where you pair exercises together.
Okay.
So you might be doing like bench press with lat pull downs or whatever, and you alternate the exercises between sets. So a superset here means that we're going to do 3 clicker draws. 1, 2, click, 4, 5. Right down. We're going to do 3, and then we're going to do 3 shots. Pop, pop, pop. And so by layering these 2 skills together, obviously you're learning directional expansion, expanding through the clicker, not just to the clicker. And then you're learning the timing of the click, and then you're applying that to the shot.
You good for a question at this point?
I'm good for a question at any point.
Oh, watch out what you ask for.
Go for it. Yeah, unload, mate.
Well, so then what would happen if I just practice one or the other? Like I just did 6 and then I did 6. Or I just did 6 of just the 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5.
So, I mean, let's consider, that's a great question.
Yeah, man.
So, thanks for asking.
Yeah, well,
People of the internet will also benefit from this.
I hope so.
All right, so basically what we're trying to do in the end state, like what we're working towards, right? You need to be able to control your timing and your expansion while you're shooting at targets in competition. And you're not going to sit there and do 3 clicker draws and then shoot 6 shots, right? So the progression works from, we're going to start by doing 3 clicker draws, 6 shots, because it helps translate the skill from the skill in isolation to actually shooting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work from 3 and 3 to 3 and 6, then 3 and 12, then 3 and 24.
Now I get it.
And so what you're doing is you're kind of weaning yourself off the clicker draws.
I was going to say something else.
Yeah, go ahead.
Winning yourself off the titty.
Let's call it that.
Sorry.
Yeah. Winning yourself off the clicker control drills.
Right.
So that you can apply the skill like without the drill. What will happen is in that way, you're kind of keeping your body guessing. Like just, because the drill is focusing on the skill of the expansion in isolation. And then when you take away the drill, your body after a little while, it kind of softens on that, what you've just reinforced. And so by increasing the period of time before reinforcements, then it reinforces it stronger. It's actually the same technique that you use when teaching a dog how to sit, right? At first, you need to reward him every single time he sits by giving him a treat. But after a while, you need to keep the dog guessing every second time, every 5th time, every 10th time, until the dog will sit on command without him being, without the treat. And the drill is the same.
So you're going to feed me
I'm going to feed you peanut butter cups.
All right, man.
All right, let's go. Free draw. Check. Loading. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little bit early that time?
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, so I can feel what's happening.
So what's happening?
I'm pulling back with my hand again.
So as soon as you introduce the aiming focus.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Okay.
So let's that last one, that one doesn't count. Let's do another good one and then we'll do a few shots.
Yeah, sweet.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on that one, just to give you some feedback. So that was definitely coming into anchor, pausing, a little wobble through the clicker. So we want to try and keep the fluid movement moving.
Yeah.
And the difference is you had the fluidity going when you're at blank butt.
Okay,
Right?
so aiming focus.
It's the aiming focus. So that now that you have to aim and stabilize the sight pin at the same time,
Yeah,
you're wrestling between the expansion and the aiming.
got it.
So, okay, my advice to you
Yeah.
here is commit to the timing and the fluidity first, and let your body synchronize the aiming with that.
Sounds amazing. And
A lot of wisdom in that.
put it into practice.
Yeah, but for example, through the repetitions, you'll master this drill.
Yeah.
But if the sight pin wobbles a little bit out into the red or even the blue, that's okay. Just keep the timing, keep the smoothness.
Okay.
But after a few repetitions, you will learn and you'll start to get.
Yeah.
But if you just try and hold the sight pin still, and then every time you'll have no sense of timing, and it doesn't work the other way around.
Okay.
You don't aim first and synchronize your timing with your aiming. You get your timing first, and then you synchronize your aiming with the timing.
All right.
Let's go.
Locked and loaded.
Free draw. Check. Commit. Anchor. 1, 2, click. 4, 5. Oh, that was masterpiece.
Yeah.
Now,
Boom.
what'd you notice with your sight pin movement through that?
It moved, right? But I just committed.
Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, click. A little bit slow. So you see what we're doing, right? Like really it's the aiming that ruins your expansion.
Okay.
So we train the expansion first, and then we introduce the aiming and let you synchronize with that.
Cool.
1, 2, 3, 4. Good. 1, 2.
Quick.
A little early, that's okay. So that's 3 shots, right? So now 3 clicker control drills again.
Okay. Regardless of whatever timing I got done there, just go back.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the clicker control drills, they help you with your time.
Okay.
Right? So switching between them, well, they're complementary.
All right. Awesome.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, a work of art.
Yeah.
That one was a
That
masterpiece.
feels good, man. It's almost like just commit.
I wish I could do them like that. That was impressive.
Boom.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. A little bit of a wobble, but it's getting better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on that one, I don't know if what was your sensation on that one?
Felt like I maybe even went forward and then back.
Did you hesitate on the release? So there's kind of 3 mistakes that people make on this exercise, right? The first one is the too quick click, right? The anchor, click, goes. The second one is too long, anchor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, click, right? Then there's the 1-inch flinch, okay, which is the anchor, click, flinch, the reaction on the click.
Okay.
And so that's when you have it subconsciously drilled into immediately release, and you're not in control of whether or not you release.
Okay.
That's something I struggle with. So
So that was that one, or there was something
Well,
else?
on that one, what happened was you lost. So what we're trying to do with the smoothness of expanding through the clicker, because you shouldn't lose tension through your body at the moment of the click, right? You need to maintain tension of the expansion after the click. That's what the reaction is, this dynamic pop. It's that you're maintaining tension during the expansion, and then when all the force from the bow is released when you release, that's the reaction. So if you're losing tension, after the moment of the click, then that's what happened, is that you clicked and then you just sort of softened a little bit.
Okay.
Whereas by training you to expand through the clicker as one like committed expansion, it helps with that after the click.
Okay, got it.
Check. 1, 2, pop. Good. Check. Loading. Okay. 1, 2, pop. Good. Okay, so if your clicker goes off too early, it's best just to let down and reset.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So there should be almost like a mental, like a safety, if you know what I mean, where you sort of settle into anchor, and then boom, now if it clicks, you're gone. You know what I mean? It's like, we used the example of like jumping out of an airplane before. If even though the door might be open, you're not going to jump out until the the green light comes on or whatever. I'm thinking of Band of Brothers, mate. You know that scene? Same thing, like when you're coming into anchor, if it clicks here, like you shouldn't just automatically
Let go.
let it rip.
Yeah.
You should come in, anchor, and if it goes off a little bit too early, click, just let down. Okay, so now we're doing 3 clicker control drills with 6 shots. And now we're going to start to taper it back.
I see.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very nice. Good. Now 6 shots. One, 2, pop. It's okay. Keep that timing consistent. Yep. 3 drill. Yeah. 1, 2, pop. Yes. Nice. Feel good?
Yeah, that felt good.
Oh, that's good. One, 2, nice. So now that you're feeling like you're finding your mojo, you got your thinking face on. It's like, is it happening?
Yeah, I feel serious.
Yeah.
Like I'm taking the 10 out.
Yeah.
But that's how I shot that day, bro.
Yeah.
So, and they seem to be landing around that area, so I mean, maybe this is what it is.
Yeah, that's
when I go into the zone.
I just want to point out a couple of things because, you know, the first one, it felt kind of weird. I want to ask you about your perception of the sight pin movement with your expansion now that you've got a couple of ends in.
Yeah, what my feel is now.
Yeah. So what is your sight pin movement doing as you expand into time?
To be honest, I'm not even thinking it.
Okay.
It's happening.
Yeah.
And the arrows are going like near the 10.
Right. So that's important because what's really happening there is your subconscious is taking over with your
I
aim.
think so. That would be a wise way to expand.
Because you don't aim with your eyes, you aim with your body, right?
Yeah, bro.
And as you expand, you're looking at the 10 with intention.
Yeah.
You're expanding, you're keeping your timing consistent so your body can synchronize the aiming. So it just happens.
Yeah. It's a funny thing, man, but yeah. I think most of my day's been spent in my head trying to make it work, and now I'm just like, shoot.
Yeah, let's keep going. This is good.
Oh.
One, two, three. Good. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to click by accident. You got to make it happen.
Oh.
If it's a little bit slow, yes, keep it flowing.
Yeah.
If it's a little bit slow, keep the flow. Boom. Jack. Come here. Anchor. Sorry. A little too fast. That's okay. So, man, before you finish up, so the other thing that I want to point out is that, okay, we've made two changes so far, right? We've changed the setup position so that you're not sort of making postural shifts and moving your head through the draw sequence. Like, you pretty much just got that. That was an easy change. And then now we're working on the fluidity of the expansion and the timing. The other technical issues have solved themselves.
Yeah, really?
Right? Yeah.
Miraculously?
Like,
wow.
even though like I'm the coach, I should know better. I'm always surprised at how much you fix one thing, one link in the chain, and the other things sort of fit together.
Okay.
So credit to you, like you've put in the hard work with the structure of the technique. You know, that wouldn't happen if you didn't have good alignment, good posture, good front shoulder set position. But because you have all the kind of ingredients in place, I think of it like, you know how when you're assembling IKEA furniture, you know how they got like, you know, you might get to the end of the pack and you've got a few screws left out or whatever, there should be somewhere, and you've got a wobbly cabinet. I feel like you've got all the pieces in order. All we need to do is just tighten up here, tighten up there, boom, now it's solid. That's kind of you.
I like that.
Yeah.
And if I was going to use another analogy, because we've been practicing this today, I'd say a big fat fuss will have a soup on the stove, adding a couple of spices and salt, and going to make it taste nice.
It's done.
Oppa!
I love it.
Yeah.
Now I'm hungry.
Let's eat.
Nice. Good timing. So the other magic that's happening is like your front arm isn't collapsing in anymore. You know, on the break of release, you're maintaining shoulder alignment. And I think the clue there is that, you know how I mentioned before that as you're expanding, you want to maintain tension after the release?
Yes.
I think that's the trick, because I think on release you were not expanding through the clicker, you were expanding to the clicker, and then the tension softens, and that was this breaking in of the front shoulder. Now it's popping out with intention.
Okay.
And it's looking strong.
That link in the chain from your explanation is embedded. The 3-4, I never understood the why. My head was like, that is an unnecessary thing because I'll never practice 3-4 out there in the
Is it
woods.
expanding past the clicker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So conceptually, that's what was happening in my mind. It's useless. I don't need it. And now I get it. And now I think my body gets it.
Good. That timing system. Yep. Great job. Yeah. Yes. Nice. Feel good? Good. One, two, three, four. Good. All right, guys, what do you think? So I think that was a pretty successful little session we had with Savo. What's interesting is that even though I've coached Ilias for the last 12 months or so, this is actually only our second ever in-person one-on-one coaching session. Is that true?
Well, that's a fact.
That's a fact. Even though we shoot together in competitions and stuff, this is our second one-on-one session.
There's truth, lockdowns, border closures, all these things that happen. But hey, you know, I'm glad that we've kept in touch through that.
Pretty much most of the progress that Ilias has made has been through completing the curriculum through the Technique Fundamentals course over at the Rogue Archery Masterclass. So if you guys are wanting to complete the picture and see how it all fits together and, you know, following Ilias's path, then definitely at least go check it out. We've got heaps more coaching case studies and coaching scenarios, technique drills, exercises, guided training sessions, all that stuff over there. I'll link it up in the, you know, section below this video. What's your experience been going through that?
I found the process, well, I'm a fan, obviously, because the results are speaking for themselves. In my case, I've won a gold medal. I've won a couple of like local competitions in New South Wales. So that's testament to the time we've spent through the course. What I like about it is it's very fluid. It's easy to follow. And the variations between talk and video and like I've done a lot of online stuff, yours seems to flow. And so for me, it keeps my short attention span captive because I know that there's some value in it. And then when I practice, even if it's a long form video, when I put that into practice and smash it, the results speak for themselves when I shoot a competition. So,
but honestly though, it's good to hear that feedback because when I was designing the course, I wasn't really sure. You know, everyone says make 5-10 minute chunks, it keeps people's attention span. But my approach was no, I want to make the videos as short or as long as they need to be to cover the topics in, you know, in sufficient detail and in context, not just, you know, little snippets and tips and tricks and hacks and stuff, but no, some of the concepts go a little bit deeper. So the videos range from like 5 minutes long through to I think 40 minutes long is some of the longest modules, depending, but there's drills and things incorporated in there. So,
yeah, man, there's nothing stopping people from pressing pause on a video, bro. You
That's
know?
true. Yeah.
So, and then there's other videos that I've had online which are 3, 4, 5 minutes and I turn them off after 10 seconds. You know, tonality, voice, you know, what's really going on. So whatever the formula is that you put, I get a sense you've done this a bit, like to put a masterclass course like that out there, I dare say you've probably done it a few times to be able to get that content flowing the way it is. So that's, I'm just saying, a feeling of mine. Maybe you can speak more to that. But yeah, I honor you for the fact that you're a young man, you're smashing it, and you're giving all this info out to people, and I hope you guys get the benefit of that.
Cheers, bro.
Boom.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, man.
All right, guys. Well, there you go. Go check out that course. It'd be great if you guys also get value out of the process we've gone through with Ilias. The feedback on the previous coaching case studies we've shared with you guys has been awesome. And I think it's also cool just to show like the interaction in the process and the little corrections. The feedback you guys have been giving me and us has been that that's the most valuable stuff. So let us know what you got out of this video. Are you gonna try those clicker control drills? And let us know how you go with it. Yeah, it can take a little bit of practice, but if you take nothing else away from this, you know, archery is a process and everything has a place in those progressions. So well done, mate, today. Very successful session.
Boom.
See you in the next one.
Happy days. Thanks, guys. Yes, sir. Oh my God, I thought there was an ice cream vendor around here or something.
It's a school bell.
Because I'd be running out for one right now. It's hot today, man.
That'd make it great.
That'd be a funny look at the Olympics, wouldn't it? It's like, oh, and here's Ilias Katsapouikidis, and he's got a squash nose.